Hello and welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We are here on Spiritual Street Talk with Alethea Jacob, who is broadcasting to us live from... Should we make it like I was going to make it a guessing game. I thought you never know what part of the world are you broadcasting from, because we've had so many different spots with you.
It's like, where in the world, where is Waldo? Where's Alethea now? I'm in Sedona and bringing you this lovely vortex energy. Came here. I was originally going to be teaching a retreat here and co-leading a retreat. Didn't get enough people to make it a go, but I already had the plane tickets and accommodations all lined up. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go make it a work week of writing and communing with nature and spirit and just seeing what the universe has in store. And so, worst places in the world to be with, nothing specific I have to do.
Absolutely. And I think when you do this work, everywhere is your office, everywhere is your workspace, let alone one of the most spiritual, the most well-known desert spots of the world. I love the deserts.
Oh God, it's good. And Sedona is unique because it has the ancient seabed energy from the desert, but it's also mountainous and has the beautiful color and everything else in it. So plus it has the history of the vortexes and the UAPs and all the rest of the stuff here. That it's a very intriguing, amazing, transformational, energetic place. So I was like, yeah, let's film from here this week. Why not?
Have you been coming to Sedona for a long time?
Yeah, I have a really good friend and a teacher of mine that I met in New York who moved here about 30 years ago. And I would say I come here at least once or twice a year. I shoot for spring and fall, which are usually the most beautiful times to be here. And I've done that pretty much over, I'd say, at least the last 5 years, and probably at least once a year prior to that. But I used to be able to hike and go up the mountains and get to some of the spots a lot easier than I can now. But it's still a glorious place. You know, you can just drive to an outlook and just sit there and tune in and be totally blissed out by everything that's going on. So
it's a real dream of mine to see Sedona.
Oh my God.
A plan.
Yeah. And how about yourself? What's going on inbound with you over there in England that you'd like to share with our loving audience today?
We've had a very, very fun Halloween because I do Halloween as a mum. So it's not like as out and out as it is in the States. It's very subdued over here in England. It's very British. So the children kind of got dressed up. I didn't get dressed up. And you don't know the pain of not putting on a witch's hat when that would be like my everyday, the agony. So we did a little bit of trick and treating just around the close. But then when they go to sleep, I'll do my Halloween ritual and my little reading for the year, because it's the time when the veil is the thinnest. And then the following night was a new moon, which again is, a great chance of a new beginning. And I'm really, I don't want to say obsessed. I don't want to sound too bonkers, but I absolutely adore new beginnings. So the start of the Celtic New Year, the start of the new moon, and then Monday came. And I don't know if there's a lot of people that will relate to finding Mondays really exciting. Sorry, I'm the one. So how was your Halloween workshop?
So I had one person who called in from Scotland, who was actually, I believe she's one of our regulars here. I don't see her yet.
I know who you mean. She's fabulous. And incredibly psychic herself.
And when we realized it was just the two of us, she's like, "Oh, do you want to cancel?" And I said, "Nope." I said, "I was committed to doing this, and you just get a private class." And so we had a great couple of hours, and by the end of it, she was reading and doing fantastic. And I was like, "All righty, we did what we had to do," So it was tremendous fun. And it also helped me crystallize some of the points I wanted to make on each of the cards. because I am in the process of making teaching videos that I'll be posting to YouTube on all the suits and all of the cards. And I'm actually working and trying to coordinate, maybe making an app kind of a thing where I can, like people can, I don't know, it randomly will pick one of the 78 cards, and then I'll be there with a little video in the corner saying, if you have picked the Ace of Swords, and it's right side up, this is what you can expect over the next few, weekdays and weeks. Or if you picked the Queen of Cups and it's upside down, here's a potential message. So just whether it'll be something that people can just go online and it's like, go click on the card that you picked for today, or whether I can actually partner with somebody who knows how to do all the programming and creates it, where then somebody just opens it up and it automatically generates, here's your card, and then here I am with the message. I don't know. But
that's such a cute idea, and it sounds really workable. It sounds like something that for somebody that knows like the ins and outs of how to run an app, it's probably like something they'll do on the first day of app school.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It should be easy. And I would want it to either be free or like 99 cents, something really cheap. So, okay, you got it. Use it as much as you want. God bless. I
No, I think that's
I just want to get it out there. Yeah. So it was good. It was good doing that.
Why don't we shout out? Let's shout it out. Anybody who's watching live, or anybody who's listening later on any good podcasting platform, get in touch with Alethea Jacob at gmail.com and partner with her to build her app for her tarot app. It's time.
I think it would be good. Well, thanks for that. Yeah. So
not at all. There must be somebody.
Oh, yeah. And one of the things that was fun about doing that workshop and going through every single card of the deck, right side up and upside down, and what the themes are for the decks, the suits, and what the themes were for the major arcana cards, it helped me crystallize some of my thoughts so that when I actually go and make the videos, it's like, okay, yeah, because perhaps for example, I hadn't really thought about certain cards reversed in a while because they hadn't come up for anybody I read for in a while. I'm like, what would I want to say about that? Okay, yeah, there we go. So it was fun. It was fun.
That's incredible. It's also, I find it to be such a journey when you do like a tarot project and you go through them one by one. I feel that the universe kind of bubbles up old emotions and things that you've experienced. And I've got that with somebody who is doing my what I call the big tarot course, a very creative name, my big tarot course right now. And she says, there's some struggles around my husband and stuff. And I said to her, hold on, are you potentially going through the swords at the moment? Because I remember from teaching classes face to face, I used to teach an entire suit in one sitting, and then you go home, you process it. The next week you teach an entire other suit. And the experiences that people would then be reporting were very strangely, and also possibly very, very, understandably aligned with what the suit was. Cups week was fun. Swords week was not.
Not so much. Right. So I see there's somebody who said, they sorry they missed it. I will do it again, I'm sure, another time. But one of the most important things, if you are interested in learning tarot, is to find a deck that you resonate with and then become friends with every single card. Take the time to take a card, look at it, notice what you notice before you even read what the companion booklet or the book has to say about it. What do you feel about it? What do you notice? Look at it right side up, upside down, read the messages about it, then go back and look at it and say, oh, okay, yeah, I kind of get that. Or gee, I don't get that, but this is what I get instead. For each card, take 10 or 15 minutes, do only one card a day so that it's easy to memorize it, to realize what it means. And then after you've done that, so that'll take you a couple months, because there's 78 cards in the deck, right? So even if you do one a day, 78 days, or a little under 3 months. Also, then run and put all of the ones together, all the aces together, all the twos, and look at, okay, so what's different? What's the same between all the twos? What are a common message there? And then, so you just kind of get a sense of, oh, well, twos represent this kind of union, or fives represent the freneticness of whatever, you'll notice certain patterns. And then after you've done that, so there's only 14 cards. So that's another 2 weeks, right? So that gets you up to the 3 months. And then what you can do is lay by suit all of the cards face up and look at those. And then you can actually do the same thing with the major arcana cards, get to know each one of those and what do they represent. But if you do the major arcana last, what you'll notice is that there are cards in the 4 suits that have a similar vibration and meaning to, for example, the Lovers. So the Lovers card is one of the major arcana. Well, the 2 of Cups is a lesser version of that.
It foreshadows it if you're doing it that way. Yeah.
Right. Beautiful. So it makes it so much easier once you have an intimate knowledge of it, so that each card is kind of a friend. It's talked to you. It can tell you personally, this is what I mean. This is the standard definition, but this is what I'm trying to tell you when you're using it as a tool. And then after you have all of that, then you start to talk about applications, picking a card a day, doing a 3-card spread for past, present, future, doing a 10-card Celtic cross and going through all the different meanings there, or an astrological ring, or, there's lots of different spreads, but it makes no sense to jump into spreads and trying to teach how one card informs the next and they weave a tale and it becomes artistry in the delivery of the message versus just read a card, open the book, read a card, open the book, and try it. No, make them your own. And so if you put that time in, then learning to use that as a tool for yourself and others becomes effortless and a joy, because you're kind of communing with friends versus, I'm trying to figure out how to use this tool. Right. So that's beautiful. Kind of.
And I think so many people want to get to lesson 1 and just start reading. Right. But it made me laugh because Twisted sent the message and said, shake hands with each card. And I think, I think it's a little more than that, because the tarot knows so much about you. It's a little bit more like, going on a camping trip in the frost with one sleeping bag with each card. So you have to embrace a little bit, and you have to get a little close, and you have to get a little intimate. But it has to be with each card, so that you learn the language that they want to speak to you, because every deck has got its own slang. So
that's a good point too, because then you can actually take, once you've mastered the deck of choice that you're going to use for yourself or others, then it's also fun to say, okay, let me get 2 or 3 decks and let me look at the Lover's card from all these 3 different decks and what jumps out at me and how are they different. Or let me look at the 5 of Pentacles in each of these decks and how is it different or similar. And, what does one deck highlight versus the other? And I wonder why that happened. And, so you can certainly play with it and dive in as much as you want. But I have found, and what I always suggest to people is, if you're really serious about it, true curiosity, take your time, enjoy it, see what messages are in there for you. Don't try to rush through it. It's almost like, think about it. You can think about it as speed dating. You're going to spend a good 15 minutes with each person. You may not spend the rest of your life with them, but you're going to spend 15 minutes. And you may get a feeling after the first 3 to 5, it's not my favorite thing, and I can't wait for the next one. But, you stick it out to see, what's going to happen during that time. So you can use whatever metaphor works for you. But I found that it's definitely beneficial with any tool if you put the effort in. And I don't know whether that's also a cosmic spiritual truth, that they see that you've put the effort in, that you care enough, and you're trying to be empowering and respectful of the tool, so that that tool can help to inspire and empower you in your service to others in the readings that you do. And
I
so
really agree with that. Yeah, because you're putting in the energy of you doing your best. And
yes,
just by the law of reciprocity, then
yeah,
whatever you're against, whether it's a spiritual thing, whether it's some kind of an, of a different intelligence, that will
yeah,
want to give, to do its best in return. We have a really good question from Twisted, who
yeah.
says, what's a good starter deck?
I actually like
We've got some
the
with you.
Aquarian deck because I
Ooh.
find it's a very balanced deck. And my friend Craig Janjulis is the author of Psychic Tarot, which is the companion book that was sold with that deck when it's in a set. And that book and set came out 40 years ago, and they just reissued it. There's over 100,000 copies of the book that was sold, and the cards themselves I find very balanced, both with color and energy. So it's a good neutral deck to use with the public and with yourself, especially to start with. So I would recommend that, the Aquarian deck, and the companion book is called Psychic Tarot. That goes with that.
Amazing. That's really good advice. And we have another top level question. Brace
Okay.
yourself. Brace yourself.
Okay.
It could take the rest of the night to answer that. What's the difference between oracle and tarot decks?
So you're being psychic, little twisted, because right now in my hand, I have an oracle card, which I was about to share with the group, and then go into the tarot cards that I picked for tonight. So oracle cards is the higher category, if you will, right? Tarot cards are a kind of oracle card, right? Oracles are messengers. So any deck of oracle cards that gives you a message would fit under that category. Some are called angel cards. Some, like this, is the mandala oracle card deck. So all of the paintings and pictures inside of them have beautiful mandalas as well as a message. Angel cards have similar angels on the one side, messages on the other. Rune cards, anything that gives you insight, that has a history and has been a tool that's used, can be considered an oracle, right? You can read tea leaves, that's an oracle. You can do casting the bones and stones, or rune stones, those are oracles. Tarot is a specific lineage or history of, it's a 78 card deck where there are 14 cards and 4 suits: an ace, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, a page, a jack, a page, a knight, a queen, and a king, and then the 22 major arcana cards. And there's a whole variety of types of tarot decks, but the thing they all will have in common is there's 78 cards, there's 4 different suits, and the suits that are in the Aquarian deck are the pentacles, cups, swords, and rods. Some suits will have similar. I've seen like rods sometimes have been called wands, W-A-N-D-S, versus rods. I've seen pentacles called stars in some decks because they look like a star. And then there's some decks that are like really radically different, and they have like mythological characters, and they have suits that would be very unrecognizable or equatable to the traditional tarot deck, but it's really up to the person who wants to create it and who's made that particular deck. So that's a little bit on that. So with that, I want to share with y'all today's card. The very first card message for today is harmony. Harmony, harmony, harmony. And I love the mandala there, which is turquoise, beautiful colors of turquoise and purple, really healing colors. And I actually was wearing this little shmanta thing. And I'm like, oh, the card I picked matches what I'm wearing. How fun is that? But anyway, harmony. Bring a state of harmony into tough situations, and you will create blessings wherever you go. Enjoy the differences between people, even with their flaws. It is your job to radiate harmony. So that to me seemed extremely appropriate for today. And then I picked 3 tarot cards, and I'm going to go through those before I get into anything else I want to talk about regarding today. So the first card, I picked past 3 cards to kind of give me insight into today. So the first card was our Tower card. And Tower card, right side up, is a representation of radical change. The next card that I chose was the Hierophant upside down. And so this is an authority figure who is not being perceived by everyone to be righteous. So I'll just leave that as that. And then the last one, which is leaning towards the future, is the 9 of Swords reversed. And that has to do with an end of the mourning, an end of the grieving, a healing that is required. So having those things all there, then I said, all right, let me see what the book wants to say today. So y'all know this is a book I wrote. If you don't know, it's called a Portal to Potential. And it is all channeled work that came through with messages that are uplifting, hopeful, that will give a lot of questions to ponder and thoughts to ponder to help us figure out what's our purpose, how do I become more joyful in life, how do I express more of my creativity and reach the full measure of my creation, right? So I randomly cracked it open. I said, okay, what do I want to share today? And I got the poem with a writing called, let's see, I can't do this backwards. Choose well. Let me just read it. Okay. The power of creation lies latent, dormant within each conscious being. What will the causal factor be that awakens you to be the full measure of your creation? Will you consciously, purposefully choose to act, seek, and allow for it, and wield it as the gift you were given as your birthright? It is not possible to walk in darkness when you are shining your light. Once this truth is fully known, you can never be alone unless you choose to forget that truth. So remember, choose well with love and gratitude.
That's beautiful.
So thank you. And yes, I agree. And I can say that because it came through me. And you know, it's kind of an awkward thing because it's like some of these things when I read it, I'm like, gosh, that's so profound. Or wow, I love that. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. But it came through me. It's not of me. I didn't write it. I was just the translator or there's somebody else dictated it. And I took down that dictation and shared it.
Still a very, very important job. Can I ask, how long was the process of birthing the full book? How long did it take to channel all the different writings in it?
So the very first writing was probably 15 years ago. But once I got the message last year in December, it took me only 4 months, the book came out in April, to consolidate it, to figure out how to present it, to figure out which things, because I have journals upon journals of channeled writing. And it was like, this needs to come and this needs to come and this needs to come. Not that one. That one's just for you. This is for other people too. And so it just came so quickly. Honestly, once the decision was made and I understood what they wanted me to do, it was fairly quick. The hardest part was learning the online editing and how to upload pictures. And once you load a picture in the page, everything gets out of alignment. And how do you fix that? And and then how do you upload that to places like Amazon, like I did? And how do you figure out how to price it? And how do you put all the search? So a lot of like the actual writing of the creative stuff happened over a period of time. I would say most of them, the vast majority, came within the last 3 years, which was just fast and furious. But then the instruction to consolidate them and put them in this form. And I think I'd shared it before, but it's worth repeating that, at first I was hesitant because I'm like, who's going to want to read this, right? And Spirit's like, you don't understand. Anything that's channeled and is pure from a heart space will help you, whoever is reading it or perceiving it or listening to it, will allow you to connect up through that channel, kind of do a back channel up to the source so that you can get whatever you want. So it's like, imagine you turn on the radio and you could follow that signal back to the station. And then you decide, once you're at the radio station, what do I want? What do I need? What do I want to listen to? You know, what's important for me to gather? And so it becomes a way for anybody else to access the wisdoms, the curiosities that they want and need to hear or want to know. So it's a really fun, a fun way, whether it's looking at a painting that's a portal that a visionary artist saw, or listening to inspired music, or reading channeled writings. It really gives you that opportunity to share. And in this case, for me, it was a way to share and give a gift of love and in my heart, and to honor and pay it forward that spirits helped me in such ways that I wanted to put it out there, which is why I only priced it at $10, because I want it to be very accessible to people. And all the proceeds are going to the scholarship fund at the Monroe Institute, because it's my favorite consciousness place on the planet. And I wanted to honor that as well. So to me, I wanted to put that gift out there and share some of the things. And as a life coach, as spiritual life coach in particular, I loved a lot of the questions. Like the whole second half of the book is questions and thoughts to ponder that will help anybody really waken up and not just become more self-aware, but give them an opportunity to work through, what do I really want? What do I need? What are the next couple steps I should take? What brings me joy? What am I really good at? How can I shine my light more? How can I have more peace in my life? How can I have better relationships with people? How can I know that we're one and that we share this pedigree of we're all of the creator in some way, right? So again, I think I probably would have been even more hesitant to share, except whenever I shared even small snippets of what came through with anybody, you know, whether it's a participant at a workshop I was at when it came through, or one of the trainers, or a friend, or one of my other colleagues, they're like, wow, that's really cool. That's really deep. That's really good. Wow, you should do something with this. Can I have a copy? Can I have of all this, just the snippets? So I'm like, okay, you know what? I shouldn't fade away from doing this. And just because it came through me, but I love them as well. I find a lot of comfort in them, and I feel very uplifted whenever I tune into that energy. Whatever that source was that was coming through is so loving and so benevolent and so understanding and supportive and encouraging that I just feel like I'm wrapped in this blanket of love, you know, as I'm connecting back to that energy. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I should share that love. So, okay, let's get it out there, girl. So that's what I do.
You know, I think sometimes we want for signs from the universe to be so dramatic and so fascinating that they make a really good story. But actually, people asking you repeatedly for a spiritual product that you are in the process of producing is as specific, as thick, as unsubtle of a sign as they come.
Yes. I agree.
The signs were there. So let me put it out there for anybody watching. If you're wanting a personal message from Alethea tonight, please don't be shy. Go ahead, send us a message. I hadn't really sort of said hi to everybody that has been sort of coming in and greeting. So I'm just going to run through all the names that I can see here. Obviously, Twisted, Tor, hi, John Temprin. We had Roger Blair, who very sweetly popped on. You know, me and Tor started like a Monday morning podcast, but it's Monday morning in the UK. And lovely. Roger Blair popped in, and what for him was 4:30 in the middle of the night just to say hi. I know. Do we have the best audience, Alethea, or do we have the best audience?
They are the best. They are
the best. And we've got Kathy, who came in on Monday, also coming in. So excited to see you. And we just had somebody pop in from Facebook via Facebook. So now we're
Oh,
broadcasting. I know,
yay,
magic.
cool.
I'm telling you, the people that know how to press the buttons and pull the levers
Nice.
are really
Nice.
sort of they're treating
Yeah,
us well.
very
So
cool.
a message came through from Annette, who is watching on Facebook, and somehow, I don't know, something is linking that she can send the messages that come straight here to the system. Oh, and Scott
Okay.
is here as well. Hi, Scott. And Annette is
Okay.
actually saying, yes, please, to a
Okay.
message if you've got a little something for her.
Okay. I will. I just want to share two of the quick things
Oh,
first,
please,
and
yeah.
then I'll absolutely do that. So I want to show this little crystal. I'm holding on to this. This is a Herkimer diamond. Yeah, it's a hunker chunk of wonderful, beautiful crystal here. And to me, this my friend actually mined this years ago. And what I wanted to point out is how beautiful this is, even with all its flaws, even with some of the dark sides. But some of these facets are gorgeous. There's rainbows in some of them. And the energy of this stone is just off the charts. It's gorgeous, right? But I was thinking about this, is what it really makes this so special. Why does this have this energy? And how this is a metaphor for how we are in the world, right? Who's perfect out there? Nobody. Who doesn't have a few dings and chinks and rough spots that
Nobody.
are part of it, right? But we have our beauty. We have many facets to our personality. And we have parts of us that are rainbow and sunshiny and bringing those sparkles and joy to our life and others. And then there's other parts that are a little more complex and cloudy and like, I wonder what's going on in there, and mysteries to ourselves as well as to others. But crystals to me have this beautiful energy that, just like we can do, that we can share our energy with the world. And yes, we can be, and I wouldn't even call it necessarily damaged. It's just that it's a sign of with the weathering that this had. This stone is 500 million years old. And because I know I used to mine with Craig, so I know where this was found. It was nearer to the surface of the earth. So it went through seasons of thawing and freezing and thawing and freezing for millions of years. And so having some cracks or facets that, are cracked or whatnot, that's just the wear and tear of being exposed to the elements for that long. And so again, it's like, all right, what have we been exposed to in our life that's weathered us? And isn't it still important to honor those facets that are intact, the rainbow within, the joy, the light that's within? There's no reason to say, well, if it's not perfect, I don't want it. Really? No. Every characteristic of this stone, yes, we are multifaceted. Every character that's in there that makes this interesting and not just boring. If this was a totally clear crystal with not a flaw, nothing going on, but it was just totally clear and cut, it would be like, oh, yeah, that's pretty, but wouldn't they be anywhere near as interesting and drawing me in any way? I look at it and it's like, oh, is that like an angel wing in there? Oh, is that a water bubble? Or, oh, what's that going on? So it's intriguing. And I really wish and hope that we can apply that same kind of respectful diligence and appreciation as we explore the facets of ourselves and each other. And don't focus on the flaws or the parts that are rough or broken, but focus on the parts that serve and that bring us joy and that lighten up the place. So I wanted to share a little bit about that. Hello, Manchester, England. Wow, wow, wow. Pretty cool. And then the other thing I wanted to share about is an experience I had right here in Phoenix, right before coming to Sedona. And I went into an Ascension chamber. So first I want to ask, have any of you heard about or been to an Ascension chamber before?
Not me.
Okay. I'm going to give everybody just a second to see if anybody said, oh, yeah, I know about
I'll
that.
check. I know Manchester a little bit, and I would say that Virgil has probably been to a descension.
Now. All right, be nice.
Sorry, I'm joking. We were in Manchester, Virgil, like twice over the half term last week.
Okay.
We went, we took the children to Affleck's.
Yeah.
Children,
So,
this is our people.
So let me tell you. So I know for a lot of people, Ascension Energy is a topic. I know it's huge in Japan, and from what I understand, Ascension Energy is the vibration of the planet where we're all having the opportunity to ascend from a 3D vibration up through 4 to a 5D. I don't know why they decided 5 was the magic number, but everybody wants to get to this 5D, right? So there's lots of quickening of vibration that's needed, quickening of awareness, expanding heart space, expanding intention out. So there's a lot of those things. But in Phoenix, Arizona, there is a man, his name is Chad Andrews, and he had a mystical experience where an entity that, how would I call it? He basically channeled Nikola Tesla and was in touch with the vibration of a spirit that had the knowledge of Tesla. And you can go on to YouTube and you can research, you can watch, because he tells his story. But basically he built this chamber in a geodesic dome, and in it there's a chair that has all these Tesla coils and different kinds of crystals and devices and energy implements all around. And he was instructed over the course of about 6 months by spirit of how to build it, what to put in it, how to run it, how to create the sessions, going through it. And so when you're in it, I had a session yesterday and it was amazing. Information comes energetically. I felt like this, between the sound waves, the energy field, and the ions, I felt like every single cell in my body had been cleaned, had been quickened, and vibrationally I felt uplifted. And it's kind of like, sometimes the windshields of our psychic selves feel like, somebody needs to squeegee them. There's too many bugs, and, we've been driving too long and it's time to clean off the windshield. And I felt like going through one of these sessions cleaned the windshield. There was such a sense of clarity. And I had 3 very distinctive messages while I was in there. The first one was how interdimensional beings travel to us is by folding time and space. They don't travel, they fold time and space around and just step through the portal. So I thought that was really intriguing. The second thing I got was that it is a noble pursuit to start to activate more and more of our brain cells and use more of our brain, because the parts that we're not using were actually parts that, it's the old saying, use it or lose it. Yeah. So some of the ancestors that we had in ancient cultures utilized far more of their brain power to have the telepathy, the telekinesis, the connections, the psychic gifts, the spiritual gifts that they had, which is part of our human potential. We're wired for it, just like you need to trigger epigenetics in your DNA to have the latent dormant things wake up and serve you. We could do similar things to wake up parts of our brain. And what they were suggesting were obviously things like the Ascension Chamber helps with that, but also those blinky light and sound machines that help to stimulate hemisync and different kinds of sound technologies that help to balance and stimulate. It's about entrainment and quickening and utilizing as much as possible different parts of the brain. And so even listening to foreign languages, because we have a different center of our brain that processes language, and doing things that will help us expand our capacity will help us all reach that ascension energy of a quicker vibration, more unity consciousness, and the things that will help the whole planet evolve into that next dimensional phase and shift. So I thought that was kind of interesting. And what was cool was had been talking to somebody about stem cells and the applications of stem cells here in the States. And although it's not covered by insurance, there's all kinds of research going on, and it's still being used by all kinds of practitioners for therapeutic things. But I asked the question, I said, well, what if we had stem cells that were injected into the cerebral spinal fluid that encapsulates the brain? Would that stimulate making more connections between different parts of the brain, which would help us utilize more of the brain? And so they're like, I don't know, no one's done that kind of experiment before. But these are the kinds of things I think about, guys. I'm like, I know I'm not normal, but that's okay. These are the things that I think about.
I think that's a really, really good thought, because all the activity in the brain is in the gaps between the neurons. Mm-hmm. So what happens, and I'll tell you, actually, I have a friend here in the village. She moved to another village, but still my friend from the village. And when I met her, she was doing a degree in like communication, something like that. And she spoke a lot of languages. And she said that people who grow up with multiple languages have what she described as denser brains, denser, heavier, because there's more of the connections. And I think those people are already the result of the experiment that you were proposing.
Yes.
Because they have either more fluid or more connections or something like that, which you see, maybe you're crazy, but at least we're crazy together. So much better than being crazy alone.
Oh yeah, for sure. And then the last message that came, and this I know was more for the US audience, but I think it's extrapolatable out to anybody else who might be listening to this. But as many of you know, this is the day after Election Day here in the US. And when I was in the chamber, it was yesterday because I flew into Phoenix and then I came up to Sedona today. So when I was in the chamber, one of the messages I got from Spirit basically said, do not freak out or panic, no matter which candidate wins or loses. Because we all have our preferences. We all had whoever we voted for. And we knew going into this, half of the, pretty much it was 50-50. It was very close on either side. And for every 10 friends, probably 5 of them were leaning one way and the other 5 were leaning another, right? And so what Spirit said is a couple things. First of all, there is a quickening that is happening. And so there's going to be an magnification or a exaggeration of whatever quality people are holding. So the good become even better, the bad become even worse, right? It's kind of like they say in an emergency, it either brings out the best of people or the worst of people. And we have that choice, right? How do we want to respond? And so Spirit said, look, it may feel like somebody shook up a soda bottle, pop bottle, and it's spraying all over the place. Or that, somebody took a stick and whacked at a beehive and like, oh my God, there's hornets flying around and everybody's in danger. Because I know, I have heard, I try to stay very balanced. That's my role, right? As a life coach. I'm not taking sides. I'm not, I may have my own personal preferences of what I would like or not like. However, what Spirit was saying is it's so important that we don't judge, that we have that love, that we have that feeling. And guys, we're light workers. That very first card I picked, Harmony, that is critical right now because it's not about, oh, I was right, you were wrong, or you were right, I was wrong, or it was everybody's, no matter if it was your person who won, you might feel victorious and wonderful and excited. If it's not your person who won, you might feel like it's the end of the world. Because leading up to this, both sides were saying, this is an existential crisis. We have to win, right? It's our side or death and destruction and the end of life and the world and democracy as we know it. on both sides. And so one of the things that we have to do, and I know, there's elections in every country around the world, right? Or in most of them, in any free country and democratic one. So one of the things that is so incumbent on us as light workers right now, and I ask you to please hear me on this, guys. We need to be peacemakers. We need to not get dragged into the drama, the debate, the fear. We have to do the best we can to hold a course of light, of service. And remember, even if the other guys won or the other guys lost, regarding your perspective, the other guys are still part of us. We're all one world family here. And so we don't want, I heard somebody today say who was not a fan of the victor, say, oh my God, how did to somebody else? I was listening to this conversation. How could you have voted for him? Wait till you see what happens. It's going to be your fault. And you were stupid. And you bought it. And I'm going to tell you, I told you so when it goes to hell in a handbasket. And I was like, wait, stop. First of all, why are you wishing for destruction and terrible things to happen? Just so you could have some weird, egotistical, I was right moment? Please don't do that. Don't put bad karmic energy into the mix. Hold a vibration of justice, of love, of peace, not even tolerance, because tolerance, that word, we've talked about this before, implies you have something you have to tolerate, which means you're not being loving and accepting and non-judgmental, right? It is our job as light workers to shine our light, to share our gifts, to be that healing force, that harmony, that port in the storm, to be as supportive and loving as possible, and also be a voice for truth. So give everybody a chance. And if there is something that you're perceiving as negative or wrong or not in alignment with what our democracy is, what our Constitution says, well, you speak up, you work through the channels, you do what you need to do. But don't give in to the fear. Don't give in to the hate, because it was part of the divisiveness that created a lot of this contention to start with. And that was exacerbated by the politicians and the forces that be, because when we are in harmony, we can do anything together. But when we are separated, it's divide and conquer. And then it's the people, the puppet masters, that win. It's the people that pull all the strings and push all the buttons. So don't be their puppet. Don't be on the receiving end. Disconnect the buttons. Let them press all they want, but don't react. You be that source of love, of peace, of doing good things in the world, of still helping when asked, right? Serve your brothers and sisters. Take care of yourself. Prepare. Bless your family. Bless the people in your lives around you, in your community. And hold the most positive, loving thoughts for hope, and that good will come of it. Because you know what? Even horrible things, if you're perceiving it as a horrible thing, can be a wake-up call, can be a rallying call. I mean, even something, I'm going to take something really, really extreme, like the Holocaust, which for people that are very young and don't believe it happened, it actually did. Okay. And I've been to the camps, I've seen them, but anyway.
I grew up surrounded by people with a number of tattoos. Yeah.
I know, right. Exactly.
Verifiable facts.
But one of the blessings that came from even something that horrific in world history is the never again. The world will never again sit idly by when there is a genocide going on, when a specific people is being targeted, right? That at least is the intent, the noble intent that we have, and the desire we have as a world of nations, to make sure that that never happens again. So the sacrifice of those people to create a unity consciousness with all the nations on our planet, or the majority of nations on our planet, are there. Coming from and living in a country that's democratic, we believe in democracy. We do not believe in dictatorships. And, so we try to come to the aid of people who want freedom. And we are a place in America that has been known for centuries now as the beacon on the hill. And now I know a lot of people feel like the light's gone out on that beacon on the hill, and it's like, okay, we need to shine our lights even brighter as individuals. We need to still be true to the principles and what the founding fathers had in mind, but update it for now and the inclusiveness that's necessary, and that they would have written in too if the diversity was present in that day and age, but it wasn't. So I know, a lot of people reached out to me today that were really out of balance. They were angry, they were mad. There was others that were, ha ha, look who won kind of stuff. And it was really weird dynamics. And I was like, guys, I'm not taking the bait in either direction. And I really encourage all of you to do the same and to cultivate feelings of peace. It's sort of like, there's the, the 12-step program has that prayer, and it's, God, help me to have the wisdom. What is it? Help me to, oh my God, change the things that I can, understand, and accept the things that I can't change, and have the wisdom to know the difference. And I know I'm paraphrasing, but y'all know that saying. And so no matter what side of this you're on, if we can't change it, what do we have to do? We have to feel that sense of acceptance and positivity going forward, and having the wisdom to know what's the next best thing I can do. And if this was your choice and this is the decision, great. Make sure you're honoring whatever good can come out of this. Let that happen, and be aware, because one of the big criticisms I know some friends had they expressed to me was like, how can anybody not believe he's going to do the things they said? Because obviously the former president had said quite a few things that were like, he's going to do some pretty crazy things, on day one, or, like deporting 6 million people or something. I'm like, what? Well, that's probably not actually going to happen, right? And we still have other laws. And it's like, don't get mixed up between somebody's rhetoric and that we still have a system here. We have a system of laws here in the country. So don't be freaking out and be fearful that the end of the world is here. The only way that truly bad things can happen is if good people say and do nothing. And so we have everything in place. We have the checks and balances in place. Thank God we are a country that still has free elections, where the voice of the people can be heard. And if the voice that was the loudest, the ones that won was your voice, wonderful. Now you have the responsibility and the honor and responsibility to see through to the promises that were made to better the world as you hoped they would. And if your side was not the victor in this, you have to be gracious and be loving, and not judge and be angry. It's like, this is what democracy is. It's like, I say it's like playing a game. You can't be a sore loser, right? You still protect, you still make sure you're following all the rules, but you do what you can to be a force for good in there. And again, stop seeing the other as other, right? We're all one country. We're all one world. We're all one under the creator, or the source, or God, or whatever you'd like to call, wherever we all came from. We're all expressions and different aspects of that oneness. And so the more we look at how we're different and we buy into fear and negativity, the more alone we feel. And it is counterproductive to everything that we want as light workers: the peace, the joy, the sense of fulfilling purpose. This gives us so much more opportunity when these kinds of upsets or disappointments happen in our life, whether they're on a small level in your family, in your work, in your community, in your religion, or in this case, in the country, right? It gives us the opportunity to really fine tune and work on our stuff and learn how not to be drawn into the drama, not to fall into the pitfalls and traps that lead us to feeling different or intolerant or hate of our neighbor versus love and peace and joy in our life. So I know it's difficult for a lot of people out there right now. I hear that. But having compassion for each other and love for each other and doing the best we can to still be a contributor of goodness, of light, of service, of joy, of peace. Because you know what? The United States of America and the world of nations, we are all one under this same, we're all on planet Earth. We all are in this universe together, right? So focusing on our oneness versus the contentiousness that was there before, letting there be a feeling of peace versus dread. Because you know what, guys, we talked about this before too. We are excellent manifestors. Where our thoughts go, energy flows. What we perceive and imagine, we help to co-create into reality. So what is the reality you want to co-create? What is the future you want? Act according to that. Really, truly feel the goodness that's possible. Focus on the best possible outcome that you can imagine. And let that be where you put your energy and your prayers and your conversations. And when other people around you are starting to bitch or complain or bash or whatever, stop. Say, you know what? I really don't want to engage in this because it's not useful. It's actually counterproductive to the beautiful world that we're all trying to create and the peace that we all want. Because you know what? I've been very blessed, guys. I've traveled to over 30 countries around the world and almost all 50 states. And every place I went, you know me, I'm a talker, right? I love people. I love to share. I like to listen. I'd like to find out stories. Every single person I met, every culture I visited, you know, it was the same. Everybody wanted essentially the same thing. They wanted to be happy. They wanted their family to have food, shelter, education, meaningful employment, and a good life. They wanted to have love. They wanted to have purpose. They wanted to have time to enjoy the beauty of life around them, whether it's nature, creativity, all of that, right? That's what everybody wanted. We all have the same core desires and needs at the most basic level. So when we find ourselves not really being able to feel that instantaneous love for others, pull it back, slow it down, take a breath, and remember at our core, what do we all want? And realize that that's the place in our hearts, in our soul. That's where we're one. And learn how to see and look at others from that perspective. And it'll help you breathe easier, feel peaceful, shine your light, be of service, and create and co-create the world around you that you really want to have, that we all need to have, that we desire on our deepest levels. So bless you all. Bless our friends. Those of you that are tuning in from other countries, say an extra prayer for America, that there will be a healing, that it will be quick for people to come back together to that United States of America versus whatever in the world we've come into in recent times. So, but that's what I want to say about that. Anybody have anything they want to add?
Yeah, thank you so much for your unifying words. I'm actually going to read a few of the messages that came through.
Sure.
Because I'm just sort of scrolling back to where we were, where Twisted was saying that there was division and he suggests to be humble. Annette was saying, it really upsets her when others won't accept that we all have our own opinions. And she adds, it's okay to disagree. Yeah. And absolutely. Virgil actually took it a little further by saying, excellent point. So many cut you off for just kidding. You might have a little joke just to lighten the mood, just to build bridges and to unify. But for some people, even a little joke could be a little too much. And we've got a beautiful little technique from Twisted who says, I try to work on my thoughts. So I pretend they can read my thoughts, helps me keep them humble and compassionate. So, yeah, and we've got a few more incredible ones from Annette saying, we need to slow down and think in the long run, not this disposable society we have. And John says, one day at a time. And actually, from Virgil, not entirely related, but I think it's a really vulnerable moment when he sent in and says, if I could import an American bird to do my cooking and cleaning, she could have my spare room tomorrow. So I think this is a proposal from Virgil. If any of you in the US have had enough and you would like to give Manchester a try, and he doesn't say what level of cooking and cleaning it would be. Go. So yeah, there's a proposal there for you on the table while we were talking about lightening the mood. Okay, Tora loved that one. And Virgil says, I am kidding. You sound like a therapist. It's not an insult, babe. It's not. You sound like a therapist is a compliment. So
sorry. I guess that's okay. Yeah. So I think again that the humor, you have to also be sensitive to timing. So as far as making a joke to lighten it up, like if somebody is at a funeral or a wake, that may not be the right time to tell an off-color joke about the guy lying in the box, right? Or the guy laying in the box. So sometimes we have to also think about timing. For many people, it's like they have this big, raw, exposed nerve, right? So we need to be the healing balm that helps to make it feel better versus throwing salt and rubbing it and making it feel more raw, right? So that's part of just having that mindfulness. And again, don't get dragged into the drama or the negativity, right? That's part of the challenge right now with anything going on. I believe that if we can hold that sense of unity consciousness, if we can be a source of that light and love and doing good and being kind, if nothing else, just be kind right now. Be kind to one another. Think of it as like, think of how would you be to your best friend, your best mate who just went through a hell of a time. They've had one of the most craziest days and baddest luck or whatever, down on their luck, and they're just feeling wretched. How would you treat that person? How loving and supporting and encouraging would you be? How would you help them find hope again? Right? So these are the kinds of things that if you just take a moment, to think about before you say something, or think about before you text it or post it on Facebook anonymously, or say something in person, just ask yourself, am I being kind? Am I being loving? Am I being uplifting and healing and sharing light and sharing my gifts? If not, maybe hold off. Think what better thing you might be able to say or do to help. And again, it's not no one's job, right? It's your choice. It's an opportunity to be healing, to be a source of hope for somebody else. And even for yourself in the long run, right? Because if enough people build that momentum and hold that energy, you know what happens? It starts to spread. And we then have a much better world, not only for ourselves, but for our children and our grandchildren and for all those who will come after us. So it's a worthy and noble pursuit to do that. Oh, very nice. Yes, exactly. These random acts of kindness that we can do for others, very specific things, whether it's giving money to the homeless or clothing or food or, to people that have had natural disasters, and there's been a bunch around the planet, what do they need? How can we help? Even something like going to an old age home or a assisted living facility and reading for an elderly person, or singing for them if you have a gift, or just showing up and visiting, because you know what? All their friends and family are gone and they're all alone. And just letting somebody know, hey, I see you. You matter. You may be old and you may feel alone, but you know what? You're not. You're part of us. You're part of this oneness. You are loved. I don't know. I think about some of the most favorite movies that you have, that you've seen, that uplift your soul, or the books or stories that you've read that really make you feel good inside. What are the things that those heroes and heroines that are doing that touch your soul and inspire you? And what things can you do that can give honor to that and imitate that in your real life to some capacity? You know, so there's lots of ways to find inspiration. It's just so important right now not to get dragged into the muck. Don't get caught in the quicksand, you know. Just flap your wings and fly. Shine your light, be of service, be a point of love and kindness. You're never wrong. At the end of the day, you will never ever, I promise you this, you will never regret making a choice to be loving and kind and sharing your gifts and sharing what you have with others. You will never regret that, ever. It'll feel good to you in your soul on so many levels, and will create this wonderful karmic flow of blessings that you will notice and have blessings back in your life for sure. God, is it already an hour? Oh my God, it's already after an hour. The time
we
could
talk about it. We could talk about it until like next year. But let me just read a couple of the beautiful messages that we got now towards the end, and then we'll do the reading for Annette, and then we'll wrap up. So Annette was saying, I'm going tomorrow to pick up a woman who is just about homeless, to take her to get free clothes so she can better herself. And Virgil shared, he said, I won't go into detail, but I lost my girl tragically. Listening to you is uplifting. Thank you very much. Thank you very much appreciated. Tor tells us, I used to tour homes for the elderly. Best concerts I ever did. Tor is a musician. Nice. And Annette says, I used to go to evictions and get the blankets and coats, wash them, and give to the homeless. And Latro rounded off by saying, I help a guy who is scraping bottom due to alcohol. All of your contributions to humanity matter, because like Alethea said, each little light joins up with all the lights around them, and together you're all illuminating the darkness. Every action, every gesture, every smile, every kind word joins up with all the energy around us. That was such an incredible topic. Thank you so much for sharing with us. And let's just sort of pop to Annette.
Yeah.
Who asked,
what was interesting when you had asked about a reading, one of the things I went to right away, was I wanted to share about the crystal. And I realized that when we circled back around to you, the part of that message that wants to come through to you is to make sure you're focusing on the facets of your life and of your personality that serve you, that bring you that beauty. Don't be overly focused on the chips or the parts of you that are a little rougher around the edges from the wear and tear of life and energy and the hardships that you've endured. Focus on the overall beauty that you are and that you bring to the world, and how you have a compassion in you and an energy in you that is a blessing to others. I see a question on there about, I'd like to know who your father is. I'm not really sure what that's about necessarily.
So Annette initially just sort of asked for a message, which she had got. But then if you're picking up any little information that could put her in the direction of finding her father.
the word that came to mind when I saw that is transient. So it feels like your dad was somebody who kind of, and no disrespect to, I don't know what, and obviously I don't know you or your family situation, but I feel like he was a transient coming through. And so whether that was like the sailor who came to port, met up with your mom, and then continued on to the next port, or the salesman who was in town for a while, or that it just has that kind of feeling of that he was somebody who kind of came through. And that's part of the reason you're having difficulty in tracking him down, because it wasn't like somebody who lived in the town or the next town or was known. It just, the word transient had come through. So I can't say, oh yeah, his name is David and he was a Navy guy in the, 7th Fleet. That's not what I do. That's not my thing. But I do get that kind of sense of military transient, going through, being in service for the area for a while, and then continuing on or ending his period of service and going back. So that's the vibe I get from that. I know there are some people that specialize in that kind of psychic stuff. That's not my specialty, but I'm sure, if you ask around or you kind of do some research out there, you could probably find somebody who does specialize in that, who could help you fine tune a little bit more. But yeah.
I think you gave her the exact confirmation she needed, because she says, I found him. If it was him, he was Navy. So all she needed from you was
there you go. All right.
You know what? Without
I just got chills. I just got chills when you said that.
Without being too pointed about it, I really noticed how your earthy brain suddenly said to you, Alethea, it's not your specialty. You're not going to be able to do that. And then you went on and did exactly that. And now it's, so your psychic brain is like, no, I'm giving her all the details. Why are you getting in the way? Get out of the way. And now it's your earthy brain that's like really shocked. So like, oh wait, no, Sid, this was the exact answer to the exact question that she asked, that you had no information about, that you delivered exactly what she asked. So so I think that is incredible. And she's noticed, as you were talking, look at this. She says your hands kept doing the waves.
Oh, how fun.
So you were delivering the exact answer to the exact question, with no background, with no context, with no information, the exact confirmation that she needed. Fun. I think that's incredible.
That's like the spirit.
So, maybe they take a lot of the credit, but channeling is not a simple, easy thing to do. If it was, everybody would be doing it and, getting out of their own way. So Annette is thrilled. And I suppose this is a real high point in a whole hour of high points. It's a real high point for us to end on.
So I'd like to just ask you, Inval, do you have anything coming up that you'd like them to know about or tune into coming?
All I've got coming up is my my magic course. Still excited about it.
Nice.
I'm going to, I haven't, because I was at the start of the week, I was going to film a little course about sigils, just like a teeny tiny sort of 5-6 lessons. But the week has swept me up, and no minutes are left to do.
Just to help educate people that might not know what a sigil is, just give a quick little definition.
So a sigil is, I'm thinking, let me pull out a book. What book has sigils? All of them. Any kind of a combination of symbols that's meant to attract something or repel something. A sigil is basically the graphic representation, the drawing on any kind of a magical tool, an amulet, camea. So I love doing sigils. Personally, I use sigils to kind of carve them on a candle, and that changes an everyday candle from a high street shop into a magical tool. But So yes, I was going to do the sigils. I've not done them. It's not happening this week. I also want to do, again, like a really teeny tiny mini video course for kitchen witcheries, for the stuff for, you take your coffee, you stir it this way. What does it mean? You stir it the other way. What are you invoking? What are you disinvoking? The difference between the straight pasta with the lemony sauce. So I want to do some kitchen witching, but they are at this specific earthly moment, not existing.
Gotcha.
However,
so coming attractions.
Yeah, exactly. But my magic course, my Manifest at Home course, 21 lessons to teach you how to do candle magic, and also, from the darker side, how to break hexes. Absolutely don't give any, but if any are coming your way, we have some techniques to make sure that you are kept safe in the astral. So come get in touch with me on my Instagram, which is Inbal Psychic, and I can put you in contact with my magic course if you love it.
Perfect. And for me, I will be back home in Wisconsin, so next week. So we'll be tuning in then, and I'm going to be putting out some feelers. I want to do something around the Christmas ray, a little workshop, a Zoom workshop to talk about the energies pretty much between Christmas and New Year's, when the veil is very thin as well. And it's a wonderful time for manifesting and kind of closing out and giving gratitude to the past year and planting the seeds and putting the intentions and energy into the new year. So next week, I'm going to kind of ask y'all that are tuned in, to give me some thoughts. Is that something that would be of interest, of value? And if so, then I'll put it together and start promoting it. But I'm feeling like that would be something useful to do. So I don't have any next course set up, but obviously, folks, if there's something you want, you come to my website, aletheajacob.com. You can book me for a private session or reading. Or if you want a customized class for yourself as an individual, a small group of friends, or a big group of whatever, that you have, that you want something, I will put it together just for you. And we'll make it within a price point that works for y'all, and it has the content that you're looking for. So I don't have anything else right now that has a definite date and time. I will be doing a spring retreat in Sedona that I'll have a date for by the next time, because that's part of the work I'll be doing here, is to looking at the calendar and reserving things. So I'll be able to, talk about that a little bit. But I really want to do the things that you all want and need. I want to make sure I'm being responsive. The whole benefit, I think, of doing a live broadcast is that you get a chance to vote. You get a chance to say, hey, I'm really interested in this topic, or I have a need to know about this kind of information, or I'd love to learn more about this tool. Okay, I'm at your service. That's why I'm here. So take advantage of that and ask for what you want, and we'll make it happen. Okay? Y'all have a great week. Be blessed. Tune in at 9 for Grizzly show. He sends his regards, I'm sure. So everybody will send some big love out to Grizzly, and tune in at 9 o'clock is his next show, I believe, right? Eastern time. So tune into that. And if you haven't already,
information I don't have because it's my bedtime.
I gotcha. Yeah, but those social media things, like, subscribe, share, tell your friends, do all that good stuff, and spread the love, everybody. Shine your light, spread the love, be kind. And God bless you. Until next time, y'all.
See you next time. Care. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
Coming to a YouTube channel near you.